Hey, horror fans, once again, it is me, the Horror Miser Monty G. It is time to review the second season of Showtime's thriller, Yellowjackets. Ha 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 ha!
Don't fuck with them hoes.
Now, before we begin, basically, this is going to be a quasi spoiler free, quasi spoiler. Might sprinkle in some spoilers of what happened in season two, but a lot of shit does happen between the girls in the past and the present, and I really don't want to spoil anything in this review. Right near, if I decide to do a spoiler review, then I will do a spoiler review. There might be some spoilers into what the show, what happened in season two, but I'm gonna try my best to keep it spoiler free because some of the stuff that happened between what happened in the events in the past, what happened in the present is too shocking, and I don't want to ruin that for you guys. You want to watch the show. So here we go. Let's talk about Yellowjacket season two. Now, let's begin with a quick recap of the premise of the show that takes place in two timelines, one in the past and one in the present. Now, it involves a New Jersey high school girls soccer team called the Yellowjackets, who plane crashed somewhere in the Canadian wilderness when traveling to Seattle to play in the national tournament. Now, we see events in the past showing how the girls survive in the wilderness, and then in the present, where we see adult version of the girls who survive and the struggles they're going through right now in their adult lives. So basically, we have two actresses. We have actresses that plays the girls in their teenage years, and we have actresses that plays the same characters in their adult years. Now, one of the things that happened differently in season two is that while the first season only deals with the four adult versions, Misty, Shauna, Thaisa, and Natalie, we learned that Van and Lottie also survive as we have adult versions of these characters in season two. Now, in season one, we only saw the teenage versions of Vanessa or Van and the teenage version of Lottie. But in this one, we actually see the adult versions of those characters, and we'll talk about those characters later. We've also added more characters in the past that we've seen Marnie, Keela, and Crystal, who are also on board when the plane crashed. I believe they were part of the JV team. There was some mentioning in some of the episodes that the JV team was also invited to come to the national tournament in Seattle. So that's why we see these characters here. We assume that some of the other characters, including the coach, was killed during the plane crash, but these three characters, some of them we didn't see in season one, we now see them in season two. Now, throughout the season, we wonder if something supernatural is happening in the past and present as weird shit continues to plague the girls and their adult counterparts. We see weird things happening while they're in the wilderness, and we see weird things happening to them, or really crazy crap that happens to their adult counterparts. Now, in the beginning of the episode, the beginning of season two, we see teenage Shauna as having hallucinations about Jackie, which is no surprise given to what happened to Jackie in the season one finale. I won't talk about that, but if you saw the end of season one last year, you know what happened to Jackie. No, both versions of Thaisa are still having their fugue stakes, especially adult Thaisa. Will sees her having a serious accident between her and her wife Simone. There's also an incident where she thinks her son was somehow there, but he wasn't there. He actually was one of her fugue states that led to her and Simone getting to the car, and she's still half skitzing. Next thing you know, bam, a car accident. Now, back in the past, Shauna isn't the only one having hallucinations, as Coach Ben is having hallucinations about how his life would have been if he didn't get on the plane to stay with his lover, Paul. Now, if we don't know about Coach Ben, he is a closeted homosexual. As we know, Missy wanted to get with him, but she says, no, you're too young, plus I'm gay. Now, of course, we all know that we got problems with Misty and Shauna. Now, in the present, we see Shauna and her family struggle with the fallout of Adam's murder, and that kind of plays out during the season. We see the police investigating the disappearance of Adam, who was murdered last year. We see her daughter, Callie, get involved with an undercover cop named Matt. It's real crazy. Now, also during the past, Shauna deals with her pregnancy, and we have some tender moments, and we also have some very emotional moments during those episodes, which leads to a shocking reveal in the final moments of episode 6. I won't reveal what that was, but it's really shocking what we see at the beginning of the episode probably at the conclusion of episode 5, and then we finally see what happens in episode 6, especially between Shauna in the past and Shauna in the present. Now, back in the present, Misty winds up befriending Walter. He is a fellow member of the online crime club, Citizens Detective, who is searching for the missing Natalie, who we saw kidnapped in the season 1 finale. Let's not forget about those two. Now, here we learned that she was kidnapped by members of a wellness community led by the adult version of Lottie. What? We thought she was still stuck somewhere in Switzerland in a sane asylum. But nope, she's live and well and running a wellness community. But some people call it a cult. But what do we know? Now, Lottie plays a pivotal figure in both the past and the present, because as in the past, most of the girls believe her story that she can communicate with the wilderness, and I put that in quotation marks. And well, again, we'll talk about that later too. Now, in the present, she believes that she can help Natalie with her ongoing issues, and we learn why when Lottie gets Natalie to admit to reveal an encounter that she had with an adult version of Travis led to almost dying from an overdose. We get to see that moment where I think that's where Natalie really freaked out after that moment, because we see her and Travis still getting along. She's getting high on drugs and she overdoses. That freak Travis is out. She gets freaked out. And I believe that led her to her going back into rehab, as we saw in the beginning of season 1. So I believe this is one of the things that Lottie is getting Nellie to understand her issues. Now, after the accident that led Thaisa's wife, Simone, in a coma, she decides to leave town and beginning everything, even her son, and she reunites with Van, the adult version of Van, who we now find that she owns this nice little VHS video store, and it was nice seeing Lauren Ambrose coming fresh off of Servant from Apple TV into this show right here. Now, Van learns that Taissa is still having her feud stakes, which they believe is tied to the events that would happen into the wilderness. And again, that's because, again, she had a lot of feud stakes when she was in the wilderness, and she's still having them right now. And then we believe it's all tied again, the wilderness. Well, I said we're going to be talking about that again. Meanwhile, the police are closing in on Shauna on Adam's murder, which leads to Shauna finally confessing to her daughter Callie the truth about her affair with Adam and her father Jeff's blackmail scheme. They kind of come full circle between that, and they kind of have a nice little reunion of sorts. Now, all these events, with Misty trying to find out what happened to Natalie, with Shauna and her problems, because later on we find out that they actually discovered Adam's body, and Jeff tells her that she has to go away. And then Van and Taissa, they all decide to find that Lottie is still there. They all eventually reunite with Lottie and Nellie at Lottie's commune, which I thought was an interesting aspect, that we see all the adult versions of Shauna, Taissa, Van, Misty, along with Nellie and Lottie, all there at Lottie's commune. And of course, the head-on shot is we see that weird figure that has been going on all throughout the season, right in the back of the commune. I was like, wow, they just can't escape the wilderness. Now, back in the past, the girls are arguing over Natalie's hunting skills and Lottie's visions. This leads the girls to go on a competitive hunt. Now, while Lottie passes out and has a vision of Laura Lee in the food court, another vision, Natalie and the others find a moose trap in the ice, thinking that look, if we can get this moose, this is going to solve our starvation problem. But they failed to pull it out. The rope snapped. Moose is too heavy, and it sinks into the ocean. It sinks into the lake. However, Van, who has mapped the area that the places Taissa goes in her feud stakes, locates and finds a missing Javier who had disappeared last season. Remember Javi? Yeah, he disappeared at the end of season 1, and we don't know what happened to him. They've been trying to find him, and all of a sudden, bang, there he is. Way to go, Taissa. Meanwhile, teenage Missy finds a friend in Crystal, another one of these people that we saw in the season 1 who has a share of musicals. So she confides to her that she destroyed the plane's emergency transmitter, which could have led to them being rescued. Oh no, Misty, why'd you tell her? Of course, Crystal freaks out and then something bad happens to her. You can guess what happened to her, but I'm not going to say it. But, sometimes it's just some secret you just don't say. Coach Ben, who's still freaked out with what the girls did with Jackie in the second episode, finds where Hobby is hiding, Well, everyone is having hallucinations due to starvation. They start going crazy, they start getting paranoid. And that's basically what you suspect for them to have because they're not eating correctly. And he's still freaked out over what the girls and Javi, no, not Javi, what Travis did to Jackie in the second episode. I won't reveal what it is, but I'll kind of talk about that later on. Now, seeing no other choice, Thaisa and the others agree that they must sacrifice someone if they're going to survive, which leads to more tragedy, as we see in the pre-ultimate episode. And Coach Ben, feeling he has no other choice, does the unthinkable to the girls in the season 2 finale. So we got two crazy things happening in the past. One, what happens to the girls as they decide they need to sacrifice someone if they're going to survive in the penultimate episode, and then Coach Ben feeling he has no other choice because he thinks the girls are just whacked out crazy. He does the unthinkable to the girls in the season 2 finale. Again, I won't say what it is, but if you saw those episodes, you know what I'm talking about. Now, getting back to the present as we get ready to end the season, Lottie tells the ladies that whatever wilderness or spirit that affected them in the past is still affecting them in the present based upon how crazy their lives are. It turns out that it was Thaisa that hired that reporter or the see what see if there, anyone spills any guts on them. Shauna admits to what happened to Annie, Adam, and of course Jeff blackmail. And of course, it was like, God damn, all our lives are fucked up. Yeah, maybe it's because that thing that we did in the wilderness is affecting us now. Now, of course, she's not telling them that she's back once again seeing those hallucinations or those visions again. So she believes in order to make the spirit or wilderness happy, another sacrifice has to be made. So they decide to do something that they did in the forest. They decide to draw cards. Now, while all this is going on, Walter, along with Jeff, Kylie, Kevin, and Matt, they actually wind up going to commune looking for the ladies. It turns out that once, I think at the end of the pre-ultimate episode, Jeff called Shauna and let them know in kind of code that they found Adam's remains somewhere and that they're looking for her. And so they decide to come to the commune, but unfortunately, Kevin and Matt are actually following them. Walter, he's actually been there all by himself, I guess, hiding in waiting for something. Now, this encounter leads to some interesting results. Some regarding Kevin and Matt's investigating the Anna's murder. Then a shocking event takes place at the end of the episode, and it ends the season kind of with more questions than answers. Yeah, so a lot of things happened throughout the 9 episodes of season 2. Some of them were actually pretty good. Some of them were quite shocking. There was an event that takes place towards the end of episode 7 between Shauna and Lottie. I won't reveal what it is, but that was very fascinating. Lottie does take a lot of. Lottie goes through a lot in this episode, both in the past and present. We don't know if there's any really supernatural things happening between the girls in the past and the present, but obviously something is affecting them. One of the things I did not like was about the supposedly eyeless man that we saw at the end, that Jackie saw at the end of season 1. And then we saw some aspects of him between Thaisa and her fugue states in the past, but he's never brought back up again. We really don't know what type he plays, but there's obviously had to do with that figurine that we've seen throughout the first season, this season, and then at Lottie's commune also plays an factor, but we don't know what that's going to be. And I believe, from what I understand, there's supposed to be at least 3 more seasons of this. I don't know how long that's going to play out. But it's going to be fascinating when we do finally get some answers to pose what does that figure represent and what's it for. Now, again, of course, this works mainly because of the great running between the creators. I believe it's Ashley Lau and Bart Nicholson. They've done a fantastic job of how they wrote this. They wrote the season. Obviously, the actresses who played the teenagers and adult versions of the characters, especially Sophie, I think her name is Sophie Nelsie, who plays a teenage version of Shauna. I think she did a fantastic job playing Shauna. She goes through a lot of emotions, of course, dealing with Jackie, her pregnancies, what happens after that episode, and then of course Melanie Leninsky, who plays the adult version of Shauna. I thought she actually did a good job, but everyone actually does a good job. It's just that Sophie really does a fantastic. I think she stands out the most because she has a lot to go through. And again, I don't know what's going to happen in season three. It could go anywhere. Obviously, there's going to be some different events. Maybe, as Lottie claims, the wilderness is pleased now, and now your lives will go back to Noah. Maybe Taisa will no longer have feud states. Based upon what Walter has done, maybe Shauna, Jeff, and Callie will not have to worry about being brought to by police. But I'm pretty sure we're not seeing the end of that. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some more interesting take. And of course, one of the things I actually found fascinating in one of the episodes, we actually see some of the girls being rescued, and we only saw we saw Misty, we saw Shauna, we saw Thaisa, and of course we saw Natalie. But of course, they only showed those four. I mean, I missed it. We only showed those four: Shauna, Misty, Natalie, and Thaisa. Those are only four that we saw. Now, obviously, we know that Van and Lottie made it. I'm pretty sure you might see some more adult versions, depending upon who survived, who didn't. It's going to be pretty interesting when this show returns. We don't know it's going to return next year. They didn't say, and obviously the writer strike is going to put a dent in when that's going to happen. But I'm looking forward to season three of Yellow Jackets. As far as this season is concerned, it was pretty good. Not as good as one. I believe one was really good. There were some great moments. Like I said, there were some kind of not so good moments again. But like I said before, we seem to have more questions than answers. But hopefully, maybe season three will start giving those answers to us. So there you have it. That's my review for season two of Yellow Jackets. Hope you did enjoy it. And if you did, please give me a thumbs up, like, and share because it really helps out with that YouTube algorithm. Have you seen Yellow Jacket season two? Leave your comments in the comment section below and tell you what you thought about season two. And again, if you are going to spoil some moments, please make sure you mark it as a spoiler because most people have not seen it, has seen it yet. I don't want them to spoil it because there are some events that happened. I don't want them to be spoiled. Also, if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. That way, we notify anytime when I put a new video such as this one. Once again, my name is Lamont Smith, better known as a horror miser, Monty G, and always remember that horror rules. I'll see you in my next video. You guys stay safe out there.